Last quarter we saw the US market from a server perspective very strong. We're seeing that growth in server now really expanding into larger markets worldwide.
Graham, in terms of price competition, I mean, we have come out of a strong recession. Do you have to lower your prices, or will you have to do so this year to gain market share?
Well, you're absolutely right that we're in a very competitive market. And again, if we look at the trend that we've seen in 2009, actually our demand for server technology has moved towards the higher specification servers, which has improved our overall average selling prices. So equally, we're actually seeing an improvement in our overall revenue generated from our increasing volume and ASPs within our processors.
I just want to pick up on something. So it's a strong demand picture, but it was a terrible downturn that we had, one of the worst in the industry. How much of it is this pent-up demand that you're actually benefiting from?
Well, from a consumer perspective, they've really led the charge in terms of continuing to embrace mobility, and Europe has really led the way there also. I think from a business perspective, you're right, there has to be pent-up demand within the business space, and hopefully we'll start to see that being released as we go into 2010, particularly in the PC and notebook space. I think from a server perspective, as an example, about 4 years ago in the UK or a German market, about 330,000 servers went into data centers. Those could now be replaced by about 34,000 servers. So a 10x reduction in the number of servers required. Huge energy saving to be made by businesses there. So these things will actually pay for themselves in only 8 months. So very compelling ROI now for businesses.
You say, embracing mobility. Of course, you're talking here about notebooks in particular. There's a problem with Intel that it hasn't embraced the other mobility, mobile phones. So you're trying to get into that space. You've got that LG phone out there, expecting a whole load of more devices to be carrying, I believe it's a Moorestown chip in there, another Atom sort of cannibalized product. Which phones is that going into?
Well, so far, as you quite rightly point out, at CES, LG demonstrated their 990 smartphone, so we're delighted to see our Moorestown atom-based technology going into that smartphone device. Of course, we're working with many manufacturers because we see this opportunity to take our fundamentally atom-based technology into these new devices, and actually our goal is you'll see an Intel brain in any device with a power supply.
Graham, how isn't important that you do get into these mobile phones? I mean, I know I can't live certainly without mine, and it is actually what people want for the future.
Yes, we see computing becoming personal. So, really the leading indicators as more people have embraced mobile computers. It's now no longer an optional device. People need laptop computers. Smartphones are further an illustration of people wanting mobile access to the internet wherever they are, to access all of the content they want on the move. So we feel that Intel architecture is the ideal architecture to allow consumers and businesses to do exactly that.
Graham, what's the next killer app then that you have to be part of? Is it the internet to television revolution or what?
Certainly consumer electronics are again another big focus for us, and we're working with many of the large service providers within Europe to ensure next generation set-top boxes where high definition TV, 3D movies will consume lots of power, and that's where Intel excels, where people need great performance, low energy consumption. This is really driving to the heart of what Intel is bringing into the marketplace.
What do you mean by a big focus? If we speak to you in 4 or 5 years' time, how much are you going to sell in these kind of like new projects that people want to have on their PC and that are interactive?
Well, I don't think we've put an actual number on it at this stage, other than to say we're working with many of the major players in the marketplace to ensure that Intel technology is in all of the future desktop, notebook computers, derivatives of those mobile devices, smartphones, consumer electronics, and indeed education, again, a great growth market for us. And here in Europe, I think, we're seeing a lot of real leadership. Earlier this week in London with the Learning and Technology World Forum, lots of ministers from around the world meeting with the UK government to understand how education will really drive greater adoption of technology.
I think what Francine was driving that was perhaps, how will my home look? How will the convergence be of all this technology we're talking about? How will it materially change my life?
So some of the interesting innovations that we're seeing in the market already that will launch first in the US market will, for example, being able to stream video wirelessly from your laptop directly to your TV. So that connectivity between different devices will become seamless and simple, just as people enjoy with their laptops and the internet today. So a lot more interconnectivity between those different devices for your TV, your set-top box, your laptop, your smartphone.
Graham, thank you so much. Graham Palmer there. We'll have to have like drinks through the internet now instead of actually going to a pub. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Well, after the break, beer shortage in Belgium. The country's pubs are facing a lager drought as the world's biggest brewer faces ongoing worker strikes. We have a full report from Brussels. You won't want to miss that when we come back.
Biggest Movers Report is brought to you by Man Investments, a world-leading alternative investments provider. The Biggest Movers Report was brought to you by Man Investments, a world-leading alternative investments provider.